Today on Locked On Rockies. Well, I asked how long it would take to see this specific outfield from last night's game. Turns out, not very long.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 21st day of August in the year 2024. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. If your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies podcast on YouTube, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. Every time you like a video, every time you leave a 5-star review, every time you subscribe and share with your friends, you are helping the show grow, and I really, really do appreciate that. We're on the road to 1,000 here before the end of the season. If you can help us out, would really, really appreciate that. We're going to talk about the young new core of the outfield. Hopefully we're going to see this outfield a lot more throughout the rest of the season. We'll talk about Austin Gomber a little bit, talk about the series win, and just keep talking rocks baseball here today. It's always fun when we get to do a podcast after a win, especially when those come few and far between sometimes. But before we dive into everything today, got to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code, all lowercase by the way, LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. All right, let's dive in today. So one thing that we talked about yesterday, and one thing that was on my mind yesterday, especially with the call-ups and the changes and the current state of the Rockies roster, was, are we going to see an outfield of Doyle, Beck, and Jones? And when would we see it? Turns out it would be right in just mere hours after we recorded the podcast. We saw the lineup for it last night's game. And in fact, Doyle, Jones, and Beck all in the game yesterday, and all of them contributing in one way or another. Hitless night for Beck, but does get on with a walk. Also, had a couple of nifty plays on defense. Brenton Doyle, 2 hits, a walk, scored a run as well. And then Nolan Jones gets back in action there with a base knock that scores 1 as well. This is good. This is a good sign. And this is the right type of opportunity as well. When the Rockies get an opportunity to play a team like the Nationals, where play a team that's scuffling a little bit more, I think it can help build the confidence versus the gauntlet that the Rockies have found themselves at certain points during this season. When you look at the last 4 series for the Colorado Rockies here, maybe even going up until the last 5 if you're going to go up there, they're playoff teams. The Padres you match up twice with in this stand, but the Mets and the Braves I know aren't surefire things, nor are the Padres or the Diamondbacks. But all of those teams in which you played in the last 5 series are all potential playoff teams, and teams that have high aspirations as well, especially if you're in the camp of San Diego and Arizona. Atlanta, I think, is kind of getting to a point of survival mode. I mean, they have the super high expectations, but this Atlanta Braves team is not the Atlanta Braves powerhouse that we have come to know of late. This is a Braves team that's banged up. This is a Braves team that isn't impressing, but you never know what might happen when it comes to the postseason for them. But the point is, I mean, these are good teams. This is elite talent. The broadcast even mentions this. Romo goes hitless in his debut, but he's going up against Cease. So it's like, how much are you really going to take? You're not going to get too caught up in that start and too caught up in the performance there. This is how it has. This is it. This is the way forward for the rest of 2024. I know Bud Black wants to put a lineup out there of people that are going to win games, and we saw last night that these young guys can win games. I mean, again, it wasn't a necessarily blow your socks off, super exciting game, but the young guys led by, let's see, how many young players did the Rockies have in the lineup yesterday? Let's take a look and crunch the numbers there. Okay, young guys, Ezekiel Tovar, Brenton Doyle, Michael Toglia, Nolan Jones, Jordan Beck, and Drew Romo. In that lineup, you only have 3 players that have more than 2 years of service time in that lineup. Not counting the pitchers, of course, but still, when you're willing to do that, when you embrace that, it's going to show the confidence. And to be totally honest, it also puts the notice on the veteran players as well as perform, and you get in the lineup. I mean, obviously Ryan McMahon and Brendan Rodgers, it's a little bit different. I mean, those guys are pretty much the stalwarts, and then DH, you got Charlie Blackmon there hanging on. Those really are only the only 3 positions that should be taken up by veteran players at this stuff. Stallings obviously rotating with Romo at catcher as well. No more no Stallings DH, none of this stuff. If you're not going to play these young guys in the outfield, they need to be DHing. Every at-bat matters for these guys. I mean, it's clear that, letting Doyle go through the season, letting Tovar go through the season last year had its benefits. Giving them and handing over the keys and saying, this is your opportunity, this is your time, clearly had its benefits for those 2 players. And I hope that the same can be same for Michael Toglia now, as he is the next one that has been handed the keys, that says, here you go, the time is yours. This opportunity is yours. Right field should be Jordan Beck, should be Beck's place to lose. Left field should be Nolan Jones's place to lose. These players need to cement themselves there as well, because you do also have to sit there and say, well, where's, you got to play Jake Cave at some point. You got to get these veterans in at some point. Give them a reason not to. And I know that's frustrating probably for the veteran players, and I know that's a frustrating part, but I think if you're a veteran player on the Rockies, I think if you're Jake Cave right now, you understand where the Rockies are at. You understand where the situation what the situation calls for here at this stage of the season. You don't want it to, obviously it takes too much away from you, and you get a little left behind. You don't want that to happen. But baseball's interesting. You never know where you can bounce around, and you never know what you could do. But the point remains. This is the outfield that we need to see play the majority of the rest of the season. We need to continue to see lineups full of 6 young guys. We need to see lineups with 5 young guys. We need to continue to see the young guys get chances. Look at Angel. I mean, look at the past 2 days for him. Gets his first career win, then gets his first career save. That's the type of stuff I do like, putting the challenge a little bit on these young guys to perform and to step up. Because it might be a lost season, but you still have to earn your spot. You still have to earn your stripes here. So for the Rockies, keep the fire on, keep the pressure on, keep it so these young guys have to perform, have to step up, and do your best with your veteran players. Because really, when you think about it, the main bench pieces of Hilliard and Cave, they can fill in from time to time. But how much does that help you going forward? Just like we continue to talk about here as we're gearing up and getting ready, what moves the Rockies forward? And sitting with and playing rosters and lineups like last night, that's how we at least get a clearer idea of the steps forward, of what the future looks like, of what life after these veterans might look like. And it's a good indicator of where these players are at in terms of baseline skills and what we need to see them improve on. But because Beck continues to be a really interesting case. Remember how well that he did come up onto the scene real well there before he got hurt. So something to keep your eyes on there as well. So anyway, an interesting a little bit there. Interesting. Like I said, I was really relieved to see that, because I really did think with the Romo promotion and with where it was at, I was kind of sitting there getting ready to roll my eyes at an outfield that has Hilliard and Cave in it again. But for this, a series opener, here it is. Boom. You're there. Because Nolan Jones can't miss any more at bats for sure. He's got to keep batting. So be curious to see what the Rockies do with him. So, all right. Just a little bit of my takes on the outfield there. And again, I want to see this outfield more. I like seeing Beck. I like seeing Doyle. I like seeing Jones all in the same lineup. This should be the everyday starting lineup for the rest of 2024. Absolutely. through the ups and the downs. Let him go through 30 plus games, going through the ringer a little bit and feeling the pressure and seeing what happens, because that's how the development is going to happen. At least part of the development is going to happen. All right, let's talk about Austin Gomber and why I think I'm coming around on a part of an idea, and why I think he might have an argument for a back-end starter. The back-end starter. Let's talk about that coming up and more on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes eBay Motors. eBay Motors has got you covered for your ride or dive. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast. We are free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Find us on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Like the video, subscribe, be part of the show there. And for your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB. Our guy Sully's got you covered. All things baseball across the league, big teams, small teams, all storylines in baseball. Sully's talking about it there on Locked On MLB, getting you ready for the postseason coming up as well. And for your play-by-play action, if you need to take your play-by-play action on the go, if you need an alternative for your play-by-play, why not check out SiriusXM in the SiriusXM app? Should Austin Gomber stay as the fifth starter for the Rockies rotation, and is it okay that his ceiling is there? Maybe. I think just maybe. Here's the deal. Austin Gomber isn't an ace. Austin Gomber isn't someone that's going to totally dominate at the front end of your rotation. But if you can get that version of Austin Gomber last night and make it a little bit more consistent, are you happy with that being your fifth starter? If Austin Gomber was the lowest denominator in the Rockies rotation, how would you feel? Because right now he's at the 3 spot. He's right in the middle at the 3. But if you had other pitchers, if you didn't have to rely on Austin Gomber so much in certain situations with at starter rotation games, would you feel a little bit better about his season this year? Right now, Austin Gomber is looking at his lowest ERA since 2021 in Colorado. He finished that season. He's pitched more innings than he did in that season in 2021, so an interesting thing to note there. 4.53 ERA for Gomber in 2021. In 2024 for Gomber, a 4.64 ERA. He gave up 20 home runs in that time and 25 home runs. The Gomber is now, I believe, is I think the leader in the National League for home runs allowed as well. Strikeouts is going to be probably going to hit triple digits. Has a chance to get close to that 2021 number there. But I bring all this up because the walks are down compared to 21 as well. I bring these numbers up. I bring these things up because, again, I don't expect Austin Gomber to blow us away. I don't expect Austin Gomber to dominate games. But when Austin Gomber does get into a bit of a groove, when Austin Gomber is able to start dealing a little bit more, he settles in pretty nicely. He shows there are flashes of solid player there. It's just the same thing with he's so much Rockies coded in the sense of, man, when he's on it, he's on it. When he has the good stretches, it's good. But when it's bad, it's bad. And then unfortunately, in the grand scheme of things, in the overall the 162 game sample, the cold streaks outweigh the hot streaks. And that's a massive, massive problem for so many Rockies players. It's hard to truly understand Austin Gomber as a whole when he shows you flashes of these moments like this. And he's also only 30 years old. He's still in the prime athletic ages of his life. So you're sitting there and wondering if this version of Austin Gomber, this year's version of Austin Gomber, is the standard version of Austin Gomber, are you opposed about that being your fifth arm? I don't think a lot of people would be too upset by that. I think that there's a lot of serviceable parts of Austin Gomber's game. It's just the Rockies don't have a bunch of arms that are better than Austin Gomber. The Rockies don't have a reason to have Austin Gomber be in the back part of the rotation. But that starts like last night are important. Starts like last night going up against bad teams is what the Rockies need to do. Austin Gomber is going to pitch more innings this year if he stays healthy throughout the last month and a half than he's pitched in his entire career. He has an opportunity to set a different standard. He has an opportunity to lower the batting average in his whip this year to get it closer to where it was in 2021. Because in reality, 2021 Gomber is what you're craving. 113 strikeouts, 232 average against, whip of 1.24 there. Currently 268 average against Gomber, that's his career. 264 average against Gomber, 128 whip there with 94 strikeouts. So I don't think Gomber's going to knock those numbers, that average quite as down, especially when you're with the strength of schedule remaining. But there are things to be encouraged by. He'll hit 100 strikeouts, something he didn't do last year in 139 innings. He didn't do it in 2022 in 124 innings, also while carrying ERAs over 5 at that time. The win-loss record, that is going to be, it ain't going to look pretty for the rest of this year. I mean, even with the amount of starts, he'll still finish below 500 when it comes to that. But there is stuff there to be intrigued by, but I'm not necessarily blown away or flabbergasted by the performance of Austin Gomber, and that could change throughout the rest of these starts as well. 68 earned runs for Gomber this year. His career high is last year at 85, and in 2022 he had 77. So if he's got a few more starts in him of one run to low run ball, he'll lower the earned runs. But the problem is when you're as home run prone and as streaky as Austin Gomber, it's hard to sit there and be abundantly confident in that. But there's arguments to be made for Gomber's back of the rotation resume, not front of the rotation, back of the rotation resume. And we'll see how it pans out there, because again, I mean, it's a guy that the storyline's interesting. And man, I really do like watching when the movement is there for Austin Gomber, when the pitch is breaking, when things are working for him. He is really entertaining to watch. I mean, it's picking up 5 strikeouts last night is a nice move. It's a nice ad. But unfortunately, we're sitting here and it's just like another home run. In let's see here. Because that's the type of stuff when you're asking big picture, right? When you're asking committing, when you're asking zooming in for the future, can the Rockies afford to have the pitcher that gives up the most home runs in any capacity, whether it be the number 1 or 5th arm in the rotation? Can the Rockies really afford to have that? I'm not necessarily overly convinced about that. I don't sit here and think that that's a real recipe for success, especially because here's the deal with Austin Gomber. In all of his starts, which this year, he is not allowed a home run once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. 5 of his starts this year, and he has started 24 of them, I believe. Does he have 24? 5 of his 24 starts, he is not allowed a home run. In 19 other starts, he has allowed at least 1 home run. That's a massive problem. That's when the red flag, the big issue. That's a big issue. Austin Gomber has allowed a home run now in 3 out of his last 4 starts. Luckily, in his last 2 starts, it's only been 1 home run out of the last 2 games there. But in the against the Mets in San Diego, 4 home runs in 2 games allowed. In every start he had in the month of July, he allowed at least 1 home run. That's a big problem. When we're looking for growth, when we're looking for things that can be different for Gomber, the averages and things might all be similar, but I gotta see a decrease in home runs allowed from Austin Gomber. That is a must, and that is a must if we're going to feel confident about keeping him as a part of this rotation throughout the future here. All right, let's look ahead to tonight's game and get ready for the next thing, and then just wrap up a couple of storylines that we liked about the first game there against the Nationals. We'll do that all coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you got to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, base hits, steals, strikeouts, stuff like that, and you can watch the winnings roll in. You pick more or less on those stat projections, and you can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000, and PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So download the PrizePicks app today. The PrizePicks app. Download it today and use code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure it's all lowercase for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks. Run your game. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast. We are free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. If your team is the Colorado Rockies, you're in the right spot. You found it. Make sure that you're liking the videos, subscribing so you can stay up to date and knowing where to go when you subscribe to Locked On Rockies on YouTube. That's how you know where we are going. And when we're posting and all that stuff. So stay up to date with all things there. Check out Locked On MLB for your second listen of the day. And remember, 5-star reviews always help the show as well. Hey, speaking of pitching, we were talking about pitching in the last one. Tyler Kinley settled into a nice little bit of a groove here over his last 16 innings pitched. Over his last 16 innings pitched for Tyler Kinley, he's struck out 16, only allowed 3 earned runs, and only walked 4 batters in that time for a .63 whip and an ERA of 1.69. This is the Tyler Kinley we were expecting and hoping for. This is the Tyler Kinley that can help lead this Rockies bullpen and bolster it a little bit more. And I love the strikeouts. I love the fact that Tyler Kinley is getting at least a strikeout per inning right now when he is on the bump. That is so critical and so important for the 1-2 punch of Kinley and Vodnik. We didn't see it last night, but we have seen a lot of Kinley handling the 8th and Vodnik getting the 9th there as the Rockies continue to figure out and traverse this bullpen issue where it really only feels kind of just like those 2 guys do most of the work other than Angel here, who's come up. And like we mentioned, he gets his first save in last night's game as well, coming up and handling the pressure, handling a situation, handling base runners on. That's a good, calm, clean demeanor there for Chavihi, and it really is a good sign. And clearly that the Rockies have talked about his confidence, but it is being shown there. The Rockies feel that Bud Black especially feels confident in his abilities to go out there and get the job done. Of course, another good storyline from last night as well. It wasn't the prettiest thing. It's still going to be a slog, but Nolan Jones getting a base hit, getting an RBI. Ryan McMahon a base knock, trying to break through some of that the cold spells there. Sometimes you just need to see a solid game of a good base hit, get you on the right track, get your mindset right, and get your mentals right. And like we mentioned throughout the last second there, Austin Gomber stepped up for the Rockies there. A rare 7 innings pitch performance there, and low damage done. So really good job from Gomber there as well. and for the Rockies. So lots of things to be enjoying of there. Like I said, Ryan McMahon, a couple of hits, got the RBI. Brent Doyle stays hot. Ezekiel Tovar picking up a couple of base knocks there. Drew Romo getting his first official base hit as well. Trying to steal some bases, and it didn't quite work. But again, I like the aggression. I like the energy. I like that the Rockies when in games like this, you see the pulse, you see the energy, you see the flair a little bit for the team. So looking to keep it rolling here against Mitchell Parker. Tanner Gordon is on the bump for the Rockies here. Two young guys making pitching here. 115 innings pitched for Parker in for the Nationals. In that time, he struck out 98, walked 31, giving up 16 homers on the year. So the long ball certainly something the Rockies might be able to use. Something the Rockies would like to drive in some runs a bit with, but we will that's something to watch there. 98 Ks though, so certainly still got the strikeout potential. The whips, not super impressive in the ERA in the mid fours. So there's damage to be done here against Parker, certainly. We were mentioning as well a little bit about bullpen and just kind of previewing the Rockies looking like they will be without Victor Vodnik here, at least for a couple of days, as they figure out what's going on with that shoulder as they are navigating that. So, hey, if the Rockies can it wasn't an explosive game yesterday, but score first, be the first one to score, get on the board early, and get yourself a series win. No, don't mess around with the finale in the day game and the getaway day. Play your ball tonight, win this night game, and make it a 3-gamer. Do something that the Rockies really don't do a lot of. Stretch together 3 games in a row. Let's see. In the second half of the season, the Rockies have only been on a 3-game winning streak 1 time. And looking at the first half of the season when it comes to a 3-game winning streak, let's see, twice. So the Rockies are looking at a situation where they can get their fourth opportunity on the season. Sorry, I had to redo my math there, to win 3 games in a row. That shouldn't be that hard of a barrier to cross, but with the Rockies, you'll never know. So get the 3-game winning streak and then go for the sweep. Take a road series sweep for the Rockies against a team that's scuffling would feel really good as you're heading into to go take on a Yankees team that's going to be foaming at the mouth to take down a team like the Rockies, especially in their home ballpark. So we'll see how the Rockies handle it. We'll see how the Rockies get after it tonight, and we'll be breaking it all down right here on Locked On Rockies. Folks, in the meantime, though, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and available to you on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Check us out there. Be part of the show. Fire off your Rockies hot takes and let me know what's on your mind. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB with our guy Sully. Or if you need more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, and Locked On Buffs. All available free and streaming on your favorite streaming services as well. I'm Paul Holden, and I'm saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.